Very good evening to all of you. Today, our session is centered around certain questions which are very common to trading. There are a lot of these questions which people ask me almost every single time, and a lot of questions which you all have in your mind, which may be a question for someone else also. If it is brimming in your mind, you are supposed to ask me. This session is all about you and your questions and those facets of trading career which you may have missed out on from a very basic viewpoint, asking yourself or asking a senior or asking your teachers while you were growing up, or you were reading, or you were doing your education in finance for that matter, or in some commerce related subject, right? So these are the kind of questions which are going to be very common and very broad based to overall trading. Okay. So so if you have any question which is brimming up on your mind right now, just ask. There's a question box, and let me tell you, those people who are fearless, their success rate in trading is much higher. Okay. So if you're fearless, if you ask what you really feel like, I'll really appreciate it. And the first one to ask right now will get a chocolate from my side. Okay. So the time starts now. There's a box out there. You can type in your questions. That is point number one. Point number two, there is a button out there to raise your hands. So whenever I interact with all of you, then I can put your hands down like I've just done now. I will ask you to raise your hands if you agree or disagree with something, right? And that's how it's going to be. Audio is not clear, sir. What about the rest? For everyone else, audio is clear? Because from my side, audio is showing 100%. So it should not be a problem, Mr. Salam. I think that's an issue from your, wherever you have the internet server of your network. Okay. So the first questions. This comes from Yogesh Agarwal. And if you want that I should not speak up your name, you can type that also. I will definitely not speak up your name in that case. So Yogesh is asking, sir, options has always been seen as a great opportunity for profit, but can also incur huge losses. Could we trade with good six figures with proper technical knowledge? Okay. Extremely good question. So the question is around options. So first of all, how many of you over here have tried or taken one trade in option also till now? Please raise your hands. How many of you have tried taking even one trade if it is? Okay, in options. Raise your hands if you have. So I see many hands up. Now let me start with answering this question. Thank you all. So Yogesh says that first of all, options are viewed as a money-making opportunity, right? Now, let's understand what options are first. Options are an instrument which is a derivative instrument. In case of the markets where things are exchanged freely on an open exchange, where you can buy and sell whatever you want to, as much as you want to, in your permissible capital limits, and you get the freedom to do that. In that, the assets shares are traded. Okay. So when F&O got introduced, share of a company, which is a paper asset, a futures or an option is an instrument which you can buy and sell, but you have to understand that it is not a particular asset, it is a contract. And its pricing is related to the asset it is associated with. So if I'm talking about Nifty futures, its pricing is related to Nifty spot. If I'm talking about Nifty options, its pricing is related to Nifty spot's movement again. This is called the underlying asset. So for Tata Steel call option, Tata Steel is the underlying asset. Okay. Now, according to the underlying asset, there's a relationship with the price movement. What happens in case of futures is that relationship between the underlying asset and the futures contract is a linear relationship. So just to give you a very normal idea, if Nifty goes up 50 points, the Nifty futures will also go up 50 points. Maybe it can be 49, 50.5 or something, but it will go up 50 points if Nifty is going. So it is going hand in hand. It is going linearly. It's a linear relationship. This is understood by all, correct? But when it comes to the options, there are different aspects of the options measurement for the relationship between the option price and the underlying asset. So what happens is, I'll give you what happens. Okay, when you see it as a retail trader, where you have not understood what the aspects of options are, you see that probably last 2 days of expiry is there. Option which was worth 20 rupees has become say 95 rupees in a matter of a few hours. And you are like, okay, this is so interesting. I could triple my money, more than triple my money, and this could be so amazing. So options give me a chance to multiply my money at a very high rate. Now somebody who's seeing it as a retail trader sees that, and then he goes to the options market and in the exchange on the beginning of the month, buy an option which is a far out of the money option, farther from where the current price is right now, the strike price is, and he's expecting that if there's a big move, the same thing will happen, and it does not happen. Now, why I'm trying to say is that when you're looking at it as a retail trader, number one, all the examples put in front of you, this financial industry is like that. Please understand that. And I am a part of this industry, and I have seen the sides of this industry farther than you all have, because I have worked with different kind of roles, and even right now I am publicly so involved. What I have seen is that always you are given the best of the examples for everything. If you go to any of my videos, I keep repeating this point. If an author will write a book and speak about a concept, he is bound to give the best example. If a broker is trying to tell you, you can do this with an option, so they will try to give you the best case scenario. If anybody is trying to show you that, okay, what their product can do or what their services can do, they will try to show the best case scenario, because that's just human nature. Until you don't see what are the possibilities, you don't go ahead. Also, what happens is, when you're talking amongst friends, there's this feeling of regret, there's this feeling of missing out on some amazing things happening. So that gets stuck into your mind. Options are a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful instrument to trade. Only and only if you understand the nitty-gritties behind it. So I remember when I was in the first year of my college, the second year of my college, me and another friend, we went to the syllabus of some of the top MBA colleges, and we found out everything about derivatives we could at that time. And that is how I got introduced to options. During that period, even I thought options are like, I can lose money also. But then when I really started understanding how to place my risk, it started getting better. The first point which I understood was that options offer you exposure. I'm not going to get into too many mathematical things in order to keep it simple for everyone, but options give you exposure. More exposure than even cash leverage gives you, more exposure than future can give you. Okay. So when you are getting exposure, so if you have 1 lakh rupees, instead of going and buying one lot of Nifty, you are going and buying, say, 10 lots of a particular option on the Nifty. And for every option, the quantum of exposure you are getting on Nifty may be, say, 1/5 of what you're getting in case of, or not 1/5 also, actually you will be get half of what you get in case of a futures trade. So in futures, how much exposure do you get? Equal to 1, correct? How much exposure would you get in an option? 1 lot. I'm giving you a very ad hoc example, but these things happen. There can be many different examples. Don't go into the specifics, but this is just a normal scenario which happens. You see an option, you go and buy it, you see this is cheap and this is moving so fast. if Nifty goes up, and my inference is that Nifty goes up, I will make money if I buy options. But wait a minute, how much money do I need to buy this option? I need 10,000 rupees. How many can I buy? I can buy 10 lots. Now you get 50% of the exposure on one option, 50% of what you get in futures. Now if you're getting that exposure, you can easily imagine in 10 lots you're getting 5 times of the exposure in the same 1 lakh rupee capital. Same 1 lakh rupee capital. Okay, I'm getting a message to repeat the question. I'll repeat the question. So Yogesh asks, sir, options has always been seen as a great opportunity for profit, but can also incur huge losses. Could you trade with option with good 6 figures and make with proper technical knowledge? So I'm answering that question. So what did I say? That there's a non-linear relationship between the option price and the underlying asset price. And that relationship changes. That the exposure is just one part of what I said, which is called delta. There is something called theta, there is something called gamma, there is something called rho, there is something called vega, there is something called implied volatility. And if you understand the nitty-gritties of these, how the option is priced, then you will be better able to understand the movement. Anyway, so what a normal person does is that same 1 lakh capital, he wants to buy 10 lots of options. And in that same 1 lakh, he has actually exposed himself 5 times that of what a futures trade would look like. Now obviously, if he makes money, he will make big money. If he loses money, he will lose big money. There is a limit to how much you can lose an option. But if you yourself are buying options worth rupees 1 lakh, obviously that limit will be also bigger. Now people get swayed into that idea that there's a limit to how much I can lose. But the thing is, there's a limit to how much you can lose only and only if you want to buy options worth within your emotional and decision-making limit. When you understand that I'm not going to handle it emotionally if I go and overexpose myself. Rather, I should measure my risk according to my capital size. So according to the capital size, what should be the option? How many lots should I go and buy? Obviously, that depends on the size of your stop loss, your probability of the trade. But it would be in this case, roughly speaking, 2 to 4 lots, not more than that. And there would be a stop loss on option also. So if people are taking so much exposure, their decision making gets impaired if they go and buy 10 lots. If they lose money, they tend to hold on to the trade. And if they make money, they tend to exit very quickly, or they're not able to handle the volatility. As the exposure is bigger, the up and down is bigger. Now no profitable trade is going to go one way all the time. It has its ups and downs, it has its corrections, it has its way of moving. It has its way of moving, extremely sorry. It has its way of moving. Okay, it is not like it will go 90 degrees up every time you buy or you sell 90 degrees down. So you have to respect that aspect of option pricing and market behavior. And if you are able to do that successfully and clearly, you can trade options very nicely. Now when it comes to the technical analysis part and the options part, the nitty-gritties of how the option strike price is related to the vega, theta, how the option expiry is related to the theta, gamma, delta. If you understand all these nitty-gritties, when you're taking a technical trade, it will always be on the basis of the underlying asset. In this case, Nifty. If the trade is on the basis of underlying asset, what is your options knowledge going to give you? The options knowledge can give you an idea about which option strike price of which expiry I should buy while I am looking for a directional move. If my exposure I want is more and I am looking for a move which is immediate, obviously I will go for a price, a strike price which is closer. If I don't have much time left for the expiry, it is more wise for me to move to the next because the theta decay will be extremely high. So these nitty-gritties, if you get to know, which are a part of the course which Yogesh is doing with me in the evening batch. The morning batch we're going to start in some days. So Yogesh, when that chapter comes, We will reach that and I will teach you all about these things in options. Once you have understood that, your trading in option and your trading in future will not look very different to you. Then your confusions will go away. And yes, you can make money options. And those people who have this common question which get asked to me is, so should I sell options and trade? I say no, a big no. One thing you do in the market to save your ass for your lifetime is don't sell options and trade. Because one trade can wipe off your capital. It is skewed negatively and there's a possibility of unlimited risk. I know option selling has been a little propagated in the recent past, okay? But to be very honest, you have to understand those people who are talking about option selling, how they're covering their risk with other option strategies, etc. So once a year, I don't teach options except for my course where I teach it. I teach this different option course once a year. So this year we have done it. Maybe next year sometime I'll do it. So that is with the strategies and all. That is only used by professionals in India or people who are having big capital so that they can apply those strategies because selling options requires margin. So your capital cost increases in case you want to sell options. Second, your risk increases unless you don't cover it with the right strategy. And people think that selling options can be profitable because they're not making money buying options. But they don't understand that it is going to be as emotional for them as the buying option trade if they're in the wrong direction. If the execution is wrong, then there is a problem. Now when people take high exposure and then they get they get highly exposed and they get a lot of up and down in front of them which they're normally not used to, they sort of get very impulsive and fearful and take wrong decisions, don't execute the trade, don't exit the trade in time, those kind of emotions come in. So you have to better place yourself with the pre-planning in the options trade, and that's the way to make money in options. Lokesh, I hope I've answered your question clearly. I'm moving on to the next question. I've got quite a number of questions which are there, right? So let's take the next question. Vipul Mehtaji, hello Mr. Vipul. He is asking, sir, I have rupees 15 lakhs, okay, 1,50,000, and I want to make 15,000 to 20,000 rupees from stock market. What can I do? Okay. So Vipulji, the thing is, you must be, and all of you, I'm saying this is a very common question. Thank you for asking, Vipulji. It's completely my pleasure. Don't think if it is a common question, it is not intelligent question. It is a very important thing for everybody to learn from this. So Vipulji is saying I have 1,50,000 rupees as capital and 15,000 to 20,000 rupees I want to make out of the markets. Possibly he's saying every single month, right? It's monthly, I guess, not yearly. Now the thing is, Vipulji, we know that that is less achievable by investment. It will have to come to trading. So in order to trade, you will have to learn how to trade. 15 to 20,000 rupees a month out of 1,50,000 capital. That is possible. Multiple times of that is also possible. And losing money is also possible. I like to talk things in a very real manner, as they are. Now, from somebody who, suppose you have tried trading, like many of you have, don't take it personally that I'm saying it to you, I'm saying it to everyone. Suppose everybody has tried trading. You have used leverage. You have understood that, this is going to be something which is difficult. There's something which requires some skill. This requires some emotional management. And if you've tried all of that and you've come to a conclusion that you are still in that 5% of the traders who lose money, 5% of the 95% of the traders who lose money rather than the 5% who are consistently making money. So your steps you need to take to come from the 95% to that 5%. In order to do that, you have to start from a very basic level. Everybody over here is in some profession or the other. If you're a student also, you have some career going on for you or the other. And each one of you have really worked to create that stream of income. And it has not happened overnight. It has taken time. How do you expect in the markets that you can at a press of a button be able to do that from day one. It took me also quite some decent time and a lot of grueling to get some success in the markets, and my beginning stages and ups and downs were very similar. My questions were also very similar to a lot of you. In fact, one of the reasons I came into training was that I could better provide the answer for people who are starting their journey. So, because I did not get anyone to, really ask all the questions at one point. So if I'm putting a percentage return on my, labeling myself, this much percentage return I need. This is not how it works, Mr. Vipul. The thing is, first you have to learn about the price mechanism, that is through technical analysis. Second is, according to the market phases in the short term, in the medium term, these different strategies. So when I'm teaching you, I teach you multiple strategies. And if amongst those multiple strategies, wherever the market is offering such an opportunity, you get those trades, you get those trade triggers. Now out of that 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakh capital, you have to set your risk appetite per trade. You have to judge the probability. If you have a high probability trade, you can risk 10% of your capital. If you have a medium probability trade, I don't recommend you to risk more than 2 to 5% of your capital. Now if you are able to do that and you are able to generate return, in case of a low risk high reward trade, you will get a risk to reward ratio 1:3. But sir, how do I get that trade is the question. Now if you notice in my other social media platforms, whenever I share ideas, there are actually much more I can share, but I don't get the time during market hours to share everything. Okay. So the whole point is that depending on this universe of stocks you're tracking, and depending on how you're tracking them, how your skill is building, you can generate returns which could also make you 15,000 in just one day rather than 1 month. Okay. But our social structure has taught us to think how much salary per month, how much money per day, per hour. That is not how trading environment works. Market will give you a different kind of trend, different kind of opportunities on different days. It will move differently, even week over week. Okay, maybe for one entire week the market is very sideways. There will be lack of opportunities. By the end of the week, I would not have made much money. But maybe the next week, there's so many opportunities, then a major money for my, not just the month, for almost the entire quarter. A lot of money has, bigger chunk of money has become a part of that week. So you have to realize that the market is moving in a very dynamic way. And technical strategies are for you to place yourself with the correct skill set. If you have the skill set, Vipulji, you have to focus on the inputs, output follows. Okay, you all see how my students have been performing when I post it, etc. Many of these students had the same questions as you had when they came in. But when the wiring of the mind changes, you are able to have a different appetite. If you think you're going to make 20,000 rupees from 1,20,000, 1,50,000 capital, it can take you one or two good trades and you can be out of the game, because you will psychologically confine yourself to that money. This is a problem people have in the stock market. If they make more money than they're used to making, they end up blowing it away because they are not able to psychologically digest it. So better not to put any number in front of you. How many of you just resonate with me? Can you raise your hands? Many people are not able to psychologically digest. Do you resonate with that? When they make money, they are not able to psychologically digest and accept that money. And this is what I'm trying to say. And when there's a risk, that is also, and the risk doesn't work out in their favor, they are not able to psychologically take that. So to be able to neutralize yourself from those emotions of either excitement or grief, you need something which roots you to practical strategies. So that is important. At the same time, your emotional management is important, where you can neutralize these emotions which are there at the end of the trade. So you cannot take the hangover of a previous day or a previous trade to the next day or the next trade, right? So this is a question which comes from a very honest point of view. But aspects which decide your output are deeply related to the input you are giving. I know students who have generated more return than this and are consistent. I know students who in the starting phase started with making 2000 rupees, 3000 rupees on a trade, and they would take 2 to 3 trades in a week, and maybe out of them 70% would be right. And now they are taking each trade they make 40 or 50,000 rupees, and that change has happened over a certain period of time. And the capital size where they started from was also very normal capital size, nothing too exuberant. Okay, correct? Now, I hope I've answered your question, Mr. Vipul. I'll move on to the next question, right? So I'm reading it as it is coming, okay? I'm reading the questions as they are coming, so don't mind if you guys, any of you is waiting for your question to come, right? Okay, I'm getting another question. From where can I get details regarding IPOs, sir? Like CSB Bank recently, is there any website or money control app itself enough for news regarding these things? Okay, Mr. Karthik, you can just Google it up and see the website, NSC website, or there are many sources in Google. It's just a Google search away. So I understand your question, but it's not a very expertise related answer to it. It's a very simple Google search away. Okay, don't worry about it. You can just inform your broker to tell you about it. That is also fine. If you have a broker who you talk to on the phone also, any representative. Okay, another question comes up, which is safe, Nifty or Bank Nifty or stock in option trading? Okay, Vipulji, very good question. So another common question. Really happy to have seen questions asked by Yogesh, Vipulji, which are very basic question, but they had the guts to ask it, not thinking, will I look good or not look good? So Vipulji is asking, what is safe, Nifty, Bank Nifty, or stocks and option trading? Nothing is, when it comes to Nifty and stocks, let's compare what do we mean by safe. If you lose money or if you're wrong, you're going to lose money even if it is Nifty or if it is cash or if it is whatever instrument. If you're wrong in the direction, if you end up hitting your stop losses, you will lose money. That is a natural part of trading. Over a series of trade, you should come out as net profits. If you lose small amount of money to sit and cry over it, it's not going to help. So losing money is not the safety point which you're asking. What you really mean to ask is that compared to a stock like, for example, Maruti, UPL, uh, any stock, compared to that, Nifty has a lower level of volatility. So on a general basis, if a stock can move 4 to 5 to 6 to 7% up and down, Nifty you see more than moving to 2.5% is a huge deal, right? So Nifty and stocks comparatively, an index has a lower degree of volatility because an index is a pool of stocks, right? So the average volatility is lesser. So when you have taken a trade and the M2M goes up and down, and if at all it influences you, if that influences you, that volatility is lesser in case of Nifty. So the factor of risk in terms of finance, theoretically in terms of finance, risk is measured by standard deviation. We all did in school statistics. The problem with our schooling system is that we do a lot of things which we don't really apply because they are not teaching us to. Sorry, I'm deviating a little bit, but that is the truth. Anyway, standard deviation. How much on an average is it deviating from the mean? Okay, how much up and down it is doing in simple words. If there's a bigger up and down, that's more volatile in terms of the standard deviation. In general, volatility means one-sided movement. Okay, so if there is one-sided movement to come, and if there is a stock, you can get a 4-5% movement overnight also, or in a matter of few hours. Getting that in Nifty or Bank Nifty is less likely because the volatility is low. So your trade-off is, if you want something which is low volatility, the size of movement will also be small. If you understand this trade-off, that is important. Then you can judge that if I'm buying 4 lots of Nifty, but when I'm trading stocks, let me just buy 1 lot of stock. So when your position sizing is less, on an absolute figure, your up and down is less. So your overall, if your portfolio is say 10 lakh rupees, the overall portfolio's volatility will be equal if you buy 4 lots of Nifty or buy 1 lot of a particular stock. I'm giving you a rough example, but this is the idea. Okay. When it comes to options, the safety does not come from the fact that it it has a downside limit of 0. To some extent, yes, that is something safe, but you should also again over there apply position sizing. So if you know about options along with the technical strategies, then you can place yourself on those trades where the option value goes from low level to high level, because you have a definite idea about the target areas where the price can reach, and then by the time that happens, you have an idea about how the option will price itself according to the underlying asset, depending on the time of the month, depending on the strike price, and I also teach all of you how to use the option calculator in my course. So depending on those things, I'm just giving you an idea. This is how you will have to judge what is safe for you or not. And lastly, Mr. Vipul, very good question you asked, but the best answer I can give you is your safety is your knowledge. If you have knowledge, you lose money yesterday, tomorrow you can make money. Today you can make money. Your knowledge is the biggest safety cushion, because market phases will come and go. And I'm really sorry. Market phases will really come and go. But the safety cushion is actually the biggest asset is your knowledge. The biggest capital is your knowledge. I hope I've answered it correctly. Yogesh is saying that's a whole lot of value, sir. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Yogesh. Right. Absolutely. What about the rest? Okay, next question I'll move on to. I hope I've answered this one clearly. Right. One second, guys. I'm extremely sorry. Generally put the problems. So I'm getting on to the next question now. After Mr. Vipul's question, the next question is by Abhinav. Hi, Abhinav. So the question is, sir, how many indicators shall we use at a time during intraday to increase the probability of success? Very good question. Thank you, Abhinav, for asking this question. Also, there is this recording or there's this YouTube video on indicators on my channel. You can check that out also for more on indicator basics. Now, indicators are something which a lot of people talk about, and why these indicators started. So why these indicators started was that every indicator has a certain aspect of price movement which it shows. So if I'm looking at a moving average as an indicator, the moving average is actually showing me that what is the trend. So say for example, I'm looking at the GDP of a country. How did moving average originate? When economists used to have a lot of data, these days people are cribbing about India ka GDP kharab aaya hai, blah blah blah, etc. They don't understand this is the difference between retail mentality and informed mentality. Do you think a country which is independent from 70 plus years, do you think 1 year's GDP is the barometer for its long-term growth? No. There are many factors that influence. So should we not take a 5-year average of GDP rather than taking the 1 day's GDP? So when statistical data was so much, something like a moving average got invented so that the analysis would become better and easier. When it comes to the price of a stock or Nifty or currency or commodity, whatever it is, the price, if we look at one indicator like a moving average, it is talking to me about as a trend indicator. If I'm looking at Bollinger Band, it is talking about about the volatility. It is a volatility indicator. Volatility and trend are two different aspects of price. Obviously, they are interrelated to a certain degree, but not directly interrelated. So one indicator is measuring something, the other indicator is measuring something. So when indicators got invented, it was to understood by those indicator inventors and those researchers, and they absorbed the essence behind it, intimately understood and used it. Over a period of time, what has happened is people have sort of been misguided to think that there are some sort of shortcuts, and people want to use indicator in order to find and make their job easier. To a certain degree, it can happen if you understand the indicator very, very well and how it is related to the price. But it is not a quick fix scenario, because the more number of indicators you're using, the more your variables in analysis are increasing. The more your variables in analysis are increasing, the more decision making exhaustion will happen. So instead of keeping so many indicators, you can keep one indicator for every aspect. You can keep one volume indicator, you can keep trend indicator, you can keep one volatility indicator, etc. So that is what I generally teach students. I teach them one of different type of indicator, because there are hundreds of things I can teach, hundreds of indicators. But they will, if the two indicators like a ROC and a RSI both mean the same thing, only the calculation is presented differently, then it is no use putting both of them in my subjective analysis, right? Instead, I should use limited ones which I understand intimately. I understand it as well as I understand the price structure, because ultimately an indicator is a derivative of price. It is like a second order derivative of price. It is calculated from the price. So later you cannot complain the price is already moved and now the indicator is moving, because it is calculated from the price. Except for the volume indicators and except for parameters like put call ratio and open interest, the rest all indicators are dependent on the price movement. Very good question, Abhinav. I hope, okay, I just want to raise a hand. I'm putting all hands down. I hope everybody understood the answer. Please show me if you got some help from the answer, then I can get an idea about how well you've understood this, right? Because this was a little advanced question, and don't worry, those who have not understood, if you understood the answers before and after this, also very good. Okay, so indicators are very different concept than they are presented, and if we understand the reality behind them, then we can actually use it to our advantage. And I'm telling you one thing again, this is another point. So if somebody is showing an example of RSI in a textbook, or somebody is showing an RSI example on a presentation, they are going to bring up the best of the examples. And with indicator, it becomes more disappointing when you actually see the market is moving sideways. And if you go by the indicator, they are not a buy and sell signal service. They are simply indicating that aspect of price, what the calculation of their formula is related to, how it is related to the price. They're just simply indicating that, right? Right. Okay, next question is by Yashwant Kumar. Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you all for patiently understanding this. Next question is by Yashwant. He says that, is there any specific and a single strategy to do trading for consistent profits? Well, oh, Yashwant, that's a very new, you're new to trading, I guess. No, Yashwant, there is nothing like that. And if at all you see somewhere somebody is saying that, okay, this is a rule-based strategy, you put the rules and every time this happens you do that, okay? I have not seen anybody come up to me and said that I have become rich making money out of something like this. I'm not demeaning anyone. I'm not putting an ideology forward. I'm just trying to say. The closest I have used in terms of algorithms which I use is to root myself and scan the stocks in a way which is something I have, you know, used a lot of knowledge and in-depth variables for. And when I use that, That also just lets me narrow down into stocks. It does not give me a specific entry point. Also, I do my homework every day, and also I am on the lookout for good market opportunities as the market cycles allow them to go. It is not very different, Yashwant, when it comes to this, when it comes to investment. In investment, the matter is of long term. You buy stocks which you feel are low in value now, and some market cycle over a period of 4, 5, 10 years will get the pricing which it deserves. The same thing happens in short term, but without the fundamental analysis aspects. In the short term, where there is demand, where there is certain time frames aligning together, when the cycles are right, the price gives you the next leg of movement, up or down. Okay. So you have to keep the idea very flexible, and those traders who are very flexible have that knack to understand that on a different day, different price movement is there, and to gauge it, different variables and concepts are going to be prominent, and different direction is going to be there. So obviously there is no single strategy, but all the strategies come under the umbrella of understanding and price mechanism and technical analysis, right? Thanks, Yashwant, for that question. I hope everyone benefited from it. Akshay is saying, sir, tell people the procedure to ask questions in this platform. You can just type in your question. There's a question box, all of you. And I've said that in the beginning of the webinar itself, right? Okay, Mr. Sharath is asking, as a beginner, my goal is to achieve 10K per day. Is it possible? Okay. Okay. When it comes to mathematical probabilities, Sharatji, that is possible. But when it comes to skill, in the beginner, if you have a capital which is of a certain size, uh, it depends on the size of your capital. You can make 1 lakh a day also. It depends on the size of your capital. We have become there's a fancy around, I tell you this very openly. The social media in combination with the markets, okay, they have become a very trash can like place, because everybody gets very enthusiastic about making money. Somebody will put a screenshot where say I'm making so many lakh rupees, but nobody is asking what is the capital size behind it. You make 1,000 rupees also, it is fine. Your capital size, you know the risks, then it is fine. I think I have answered this question when Vipulji asked something similar to that, so I will not spend much time. But please don't come from the mentality of per day. Per day mentality is not how business is done. Business has its stage of, till one scale you do something, then you move to the next scale. Then you do better, you automatically go to the next scale. So you may not be making 10K per month, but you may be making 2K one day, you may be losing 1K, you may be making 3K. At the end of the week, you may be making 10,000. But the same calculation will increase and become better quality, and by a few years, you will be making 1 lakh every week. Okay? Depending on the size of your capital again. These are just arbitrary numbers. Don't limit yourself, or don't get too impressed or depressed thinking of a number per day, because our social structure has taught us that, just for example, if the price of potato and onions go down, people think that the demand will increase. Okay? In stocks, when the price goes down, the demand decreases, and the stocks, in case of markets, when the price goes up, the demand increases. This is so different from the social structure we are born in. Similarly, just because you're coming in front of the computer and working every day doesn't mean that you will be paid by the computer and the market and your broker, you will be paid some fixed amount. There are days I have seen, and I still see, I've taken 5 trades and I'm in no profit, no loss. I've taken 5 trades and all 5 are profitable. I have seen these days, I still can see this day tomorrow and the coming few days also. That is the reality of trading. You have to be ready to let go of that linearity. Once you get the learning, once you get the skill set, you can automatically understand. Like I tell my students, don't judge yourself at the end of one day. Otherwise, you'll become very biased to make up a small loss. Judge yourself over a period of 1 week, because in that 1 week you will get an array of opportunities which is justifying that you judge yourself. If I judge myself on the basis of one day, I made 1 lakh rupees in a day. I say I'm the king, because who makes this kind of money? Sitting at home on the computer, internet, drinking a cup of tea, then watching a movie in between. Who makes that? Who does that? Can I judge myself on the basis of that? No, because that is just one day. And the market was ready to budge in that manner. I did take the risk. I did do my homework. But I have to be understanding what the long-term picture is. If I just keep thinking like I'm the best if I make money, and if I lose money, I think I'm the worst person, that self-criticism will become too high, and that excitement will become too high. So you have to let go of that and think of the bigger picture. Because the market supports a good movement today, obviously there's a chance to make bigger money today. Tomorrow if the market is sideways for the entire day, try as much as you want to. If the same strategy doesn't make the money, a similar way of thinking doesn't make that money. I've worked with some very amazing traders, many amazing traders, professional traders. I don't see anyone talking about per day you should make this much or that much. Okay? It is only the non-professional crowd that talks about it. And all these question answers is why? Is to get you a step closer from the 95% to the 5%. Right? Now, I am very open about, I give a lot of free webinars. People talk to me when they call. There is no specific charge to just call up and talk to me. If you want to ask anything, my team will set up a call. My whole purpose is to get you all from the 95% to that 5%. Obviously, those who join my course, etc., are taking a bigger step. If you're asking one question also, you're taking some step. It's not necessary that you have to learn from me or anything. It's just that you have to become aware and you have to take the right steps. The direction should be right. Steps can be small, steps can be big. The direction should be right. Right? The next question is by Avikshit Mishra ji. Hello Avikshit. So his question is, how could I select good stocks to trade every day? Many times I got confused to short good trading stocks. Please suggest me any easy methodology. Thanks and regards. Okay. Okay, Avikshit ji, so first thing is that you have to understand what is your basis of trading. If your basis of trading is technical strategies, you already know one fact that some of the trades are going to get triggered. Some chart pictures are going to get changed during the live markets also. Right? Now either you have built some sort of a scanner which you have used, and you specify your kind of movements, but then that will narrow your area of strategy to be using. That will make it very specific, and some movements that don't fall under that scanner you will miss. Number one. Number two is, which I suggest you do at this stage, is don't look for trying to trade everything. There are thousands of stocks, many names also you don't know, but good movements happen. Just because it is coming to your awareness in front, you missed it out, there is a feeling of regret, etc. You have to let go of that. I know how you are thinking, but understand my plight. I am tracking global markets, Indian markets, commodity, currency, everything that is within the range of my, I can actually make a phone call and take that trade. Okay, within that range of those, so many things are there. And obviously because I track so many, the prediction numbers are also there. But obviously as a human being, I can't trade everything. So there was a point at a younger stage, I used to get very, very regretful. Okay. Then I realized that you possibly can't have everything within the limits of your capital. Also you can't have everything. Even if you are a superhuman, you need to have the limits to capital to be able to trade everything. So don't run for that. So few days back what I did was, in my inner circle group where all the past students are there, two students have put some amazing performance. So I said, today you two are going to tell to these people what your schedule is, what you all do. So one of them said that, sir, I track only 5 to 6 stocks. I trade only in them. Performed well, consistently, and there was streaks of 10 days of continuous profits and things like that, 14 days of continuous profits for both of them, I'm saying. The other person said, I do my homework on 200 stocks every day. I shortlist 4 to 5 stocks, maybe sometimes 0 stocks. And I don't trade before 9:45 because I know I don't like morning trades. It doesn't suit me. So he's ready to let go of the morning opportunity so that he can have a clear mind and take only those trades which come after 9:45. So, or maybe when he's very prepared, then he'll take it at 9:30 also. But I'm just giving an example. So you have to place yourself within your zone in which you perform very well. It is not a comfort zone. In fact, it is actually something other than a comfort zone. It is your best optimized zone. You have to optimize yourself. And if at all there is anything to do with the basis of your trading, you can contact my team, you can find out more about our course, etc. But if your basis is clear to you, focus on optimizing it and focus on consistency. Sometimes I know that this trade is very strong. It's already giving me 3% movement. But to lock in consistency, I will have to book half the profits. Maybe I can book the full profits, maybe I can let the half run. But that booking half the profits at that point, if I've taken a risk of 0.5%, giving me 3%, that is locking in my consistency. And if I let go of some further movement for half my position, I am letting go that money in order to protect my consistency. Because in another situation, that 3% and the rest of the half I'll have to stop loss at cost. So there is a trade-off between consistency, frequency, accuracy, and you have to optimize that according to how your skill has been in the recent past. That is why first you have to develop that skill set and you have to be specific not to one day or one stock. You have to be specific to the broader picture of trading. Right? I'm really liking the questions. Extremely thankful to his question. Thank you, Mr. Vikshay. Very good question. I hope I've answered this. And as far as the methodology is concerned, first the optimization comes, then the methodology follows. Right? How to put stop loss and target in options trading. I think I said that when I was doing options. I'm telling you that the underlying asset is the king. You have to see that. Because if on a different day of the month, depending how close or far from expiry we are, different aspects of options are differently active. So until you don't know that, or until you very highly accurately, sort of put that estimate, only an estimate can be done. Only after knowing the Greeks of the option. I cannot say anything directly that okay, this is the 50% of the option price, etc. Yes, some far out of the money option, you can let go and let the option price be its stop loss. That you can do. Something which you decide before you take the trade. But otherwise, you have to keep these things in mind. Right? And focus on the price chart of the underlying asset. If the stop loss is hit there, go and square out your position. Right? Mr. Manish Malhotra is asking, sir, whether Nifty will go up or down as per situation. Mr. Manish Malhotra, in the beginning of the webinar, I said, we'll keep it to questions which are broad-based. So I can tell you one thing, either Nifty will go up or it will go down or it will be sideways. But this is not the prerogative of our discussion today. And my view can change tomorrow morning also, right? Or midday or after 30 minutes of the market, etc. Thank you for your last answer. I have one more doubt. What do I do in sideways market? Shall we use Bollinger Bands or moving average? Sideways market, doing something is not the point, Mr. Avinav. You have to understand, if the season is there for the flowers to bloom, only then will they bloom. Okay? If the season is not there, they will not bloom. You have to have the patience to sit through the sideways market and understand that having no position is also a position. That patience is again psychological in nature, and that is why I talk so much about trading psychology. Without that, no part of trading is going to be worthy of it. Manish is asking, sir, anyone making money by selling options in intraday is good method of earning or not? Well, when it comes to intraday, if you have a very specific stop loss, if you know that your capital size is allowing you to do so, and you are still not taking a very big risk, you can use that. You can use that. But on a general level, until you're not a professional, I don't recommend you to do that. Only for intraday maybe you can, but unless you're really professional in it, really clear about it, until then don't do that. Because there are implied volatility reasons. If your option is not protected, it can go berserk. The pricing can just go berserk in some ways. Right? Thank you for qualifying. Manish ji, I think I've answered your question now, Manish ji. That options one, right? So wow, guys, it was a lovely session today. If you have any questions other than what I've discussed today, please shoot, because I really feel that these kind of question and answer sessions open up people to bring it publicly. And I really wanted these questions to come from you all rather than myself telling you about what I get to hear from people. It becomes really the language of the question which is asked, sometimes I don't remember, but the questions are very much rooted around these basic ideas about trading and these misconceptions which are out there in the society. Now people may be opening up a little bit, but yes, our Indian society broadly and our education system broadly is not wiring us to take the kind of risk we should. Even the perception of risk is very different. Okay, I also faced a lot of issues while I, grew up and found interest in trading. And there's this video I have made. If you just go to the YouTube channel video list, you will find I said traders should not give a shit. It is about how to actually protect yourself from these negativities of outside. And there are many things are there around trading, which are general, broad-based, and very interesting questions to ask. So I think I'm going to have this kind of session very soon again, so that we can just have a general interaction and we can understand more about technical analysis and trading. For those who want to join my course, obviously you all know how to, contact my team, etc. The rest, in case you are interested to explore more, you can go to www.technicallysorted.com. Everything is up there about the course details, about how our past students have felt. Also, even more so, I would say, go to the YouTube channel and explore a lot about trading. There's so much rich content I give out there also. Although it is not structured like a course, it is really valuable for your growth. Manish ji is asking, I'll take that as a last question. He said, I'm searching for a job, but I'm not getting. Can I choose trading for bread and butter? I have 50K saving. Manish ji, if you are looking for an immediate bread and butter out of that saving, I would say don't do that. Also, I need to know your age and your other responsibilities around the money you've been already making. Until then, I cannot answer this question very clearly. And if you are, say, a student and you're looking for a job at a very young age, I would say you should join my course and you should, over a period of time, learn how to trade. Okay, this is our website. And, 50K capital is, or 5 capital is also fair enough. The point is, how well are you using it and how much time have you given, how much inputs have you given to build a skill. On the website, you can find everything about the course details and the other courses I do. Our flagship course is Technically Sorted, and uh, the details of it are all up there, all the 15 sessions. And we have a continuing lifetime program, which is again included in that course fee. There's no extra charge. And in that lifetime program, I have contact, and there's a group of students of all past put together who do very rich discussions and have sessions with me less frequently, maybe once a month or so, but after the course you join that. Okay, so during the course of 15 sessions itself, you will see about 16 or 17 sessions actually in total, because you will be a part of those meetings, right? Our next batch is starting on the 7th of December, and I am really happy that so many people have showed up this hour, and thank you so much. I was out of station lately, and I had not given any free seminar, webinar recently, so I thought Let's have a question answer round. And I've been, whenever I go out, I meet a lot of people, a lot of questions come in. Really roots me to understand that yes, a lot of things need to be answered, which may not come to my mind all of a sudden, but why very common to a lot of people, including the people over here. So thanks a lot. It was great having all of you. Take care. Manish, for your last question, again, you can contact my team. We can set up a call for details. Any other things, any other personal questions, feel free to contact my team. Take care, everyone. Have fun. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the lovely thank you messages. It's really nice to have such enthusiastic, curious minds. And also, thank you for the respect you all showed by not asking stock specific questions. That really shows that you're here for the learning and value something, even if it is a free seminar or a webinar. Okay. Thanks all. Take care. It was really nice. Have fun. Goodbye. And thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Take care. Goodbye. Enjoy.